Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and there's been a major update to Master of Orion recently. This is now version 42.6, and in this video, I'm going to take a look at the major additions. So the first major addition, if we start up a new game here, is they've added 3 new races. Now, I've turned off the voice acting right now, so you're not going to get the voice-acted introduction for all these races, but the introduction is over here anyway. But the new races are the Klakon, the Meklar, and the Terran Conet. Now, this actually caught me off guard. I only expected 1 race to be added with any update that would bring races, and to see 3 being added to the game all at once is very surprising to me. But in any case, the Klakon and the Insect People, and their main attributes are, they start off with a poor mineral-rich planet. They have a attribute that is called Uber Planet Cavernous. And how this works for the Klakon is any arid planets are improved to being a biome called a cavernous planet, which I'm going to assume allows you to pack an additional population. You also get more food from the population, so a 50% increase there. You also get more production from that population, a 25% increase here. And then finally, your starting tech, which every race gets, is biology. The Meklar have a trait of, and there's also these elements here: industrious, erratic, unpredictable. I'm not really sure if these have an impact on the game yet. For instance, we have tireless, uncreative, and hive-minded, and I'm not sure exactly if these attributes affect the game. In the past, uncreative was a negative to research, but I'm not seeing an actual stat penalty here that we see. Also, there's hive-minded, so we might jump into the Klakon just to see if hive-minded is something that is actually implemented in the game or not yet. In any case, jumping back into the Meklar, we already discussed food consumption is reduced by 50%. They are a cybernetic race, so they don't need as much food. They get a production increase as well, similar to the Klakon, 25%. Their ships will auto-repair themselves, and they get their starting tech of physics. And then finally, we have the Terran Conet, which is a variant of the human normal race. So these are both humans, but this is a very different setup. So rather than the more diplomatic stance that the normal human empire has, the Terran Empire is much more militaristic. So you've got a reduced ship cost of 20%. You've got a increase in beam attack by 25%. They get more command points, and they get starting tech engineering. So this is much more a fleet-based race. So you get a lot of ships. You can use the command points to have a bigger fleet. The cost of those ships are reduced, so it makes it quicker to build, and you get more damage with those ships. So this is a much more militaristic race. There is one other feature that is dealing with the races, and that's now the custom race feature. So if we click on that, we can set up our attributes ourselves. So you start with 100 points, and once you click this, more or less it deselects all the normal race attributes that this race would get. And then you more or less would go through and select the different things that you would want to have this race have. So you can get a larger home world, and that costs you 20 points. You can choose what your starting biome is. So you have swamp, desert, and arid. These are all penalties. Normally you would get a Terran planet, but these are reductions in biome, more or less. You have your homeworld minerals. So, for instance, the Klakon start with a poor mineral richness. This is a minus 30 penalty, so it gives you another 30 points. So if we select that, you can see now I have 130 points to choose from. Alternatively, you can give yourself richer minerals if you choose to do so. You can start with some homeworld specials. Right now, the only ones available are artifacts, which is a research bonus. And then you have the Uber Planet attribute, so we can choose that cavernous attribute that the Klakon have, or we could choose some other Uber planets, for instance, grassland. So this race can transform desert planets into highly improved grassland planets. So just a kind of a difference with the cavernous. And my guess with this is maybe you get more food production out of that arid planet, whereas cavernous allows you to fit more population into that arid planet. So again, we'll have to see exactly how a lot of these things work. And then you have tropical, which turns a swamp planet into a tropical planet. And then you have inferno, which turns a volcanic planet into an inferno planet. Now, what that means, again, we'll have to find out as we play. We have research from the population, so you can have a penalty or a bonus. Food consumption, this reduces the food consumption. You have food from population, so this can either be a penalty or a bonus. Similar, you have population growth, production, again, either a penalty or a bonus. You have pollution, so you can turn off pollution entirely for your race by selecting this. Now, this costs 100 points, so very expensive, and my race would have no other attributes if I did that, but we wouldn't have to worry about pollution. You have credits from the population, again, working very similar to the other, either penalty or bonus. You have morale, so this you could probably simulate your hive mind or maybe a government that reduces morale. There is no actual governments like we've seen in the past, but you could maybe simulate that with the morale. And then you have strong, which it doesn't really necessarily say what that is, but maybe you're not really affected by morale effects. So you have ground combat, which again works similarly to the other attributes where it's either a penalty or a bonus. You have assimilation power, and again, this you can simulate maybe mind control that you had in Master of Orion 2. So you're immediately assimilating the population with this attribute here. You have gravity tolerance, so you can add additional gravity tolerances. So normally you would just have normal gravity being the setup, but you could add in low gravity or high gravity to give you that additional bonus so that you do not suffer any penalties on those planets. You have ship cost, which we've seen with the Terran planet. Beam defense, beam attack, ship auto repair, which we saw with the Meklar. Espionage or counter-espionage, so you have both of those, espionage and counter-espionage. Again, penalties or bonuses. Trading, so you have a trade treaty bonus, so you get a 25% bonus for trade treaties, and trade goods bonus is a 25% for trade goods projects. So a couple different projects you can do that you get a bonus there. You have ground units, so you can get a marine training rate, or I'm going to assume you can pack more marines on the planet. You have some ship improvements, so you can have combat speed bonus, you have travel speed bonus, and you have stealth. So this is stealth more or less allows you to remain undetected so that their sensors don't detect your ships incoming until you're more or less there. And then you have diplomacy, so you have improved negotiations or improved disposition. I wonder if you can get both. Let's see. Yes, you can. All right. You have command points. So we saw this with the Terran Canet as well. So allowing you to have a bigger fleet without any cost monetarily. And then you have your starting tech. And this is what every race gets, at least default-wise. So we have whether you want government, physics, biology, or engineering. Now, interestingly enough, you don't have to take this, and this does cost points to do. So one real quick thing that you could do, if you wanted to modify the Terran Canet, is you could take all of the other bonuses and then remove the starting tech and instead take a different... Ooh, I didn't want to do that. Instead, take a different bonus. So that's an interesting little choice that you can make. So these are more or less the main updates that have been added in. There are some other things like bug fixes, and they have claimed to have improved the AI. And if you want a more detailed look at that, you can look at the patch notes yourself, which you can find on the Steam page for the game, or the news if you already have the game in your library. So in any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.